Yes, I think we're. Let me get rid of that square. Yeah, we're live. I think that's got us live. I'll happy when I see it on the screen. Yes, we are
There
live.
we are.
How are we doing today?
Hot.
It is really, really hot.
Feeling hot, hot, hot. So, as a result of that, really, I think we're both feeling a bit flat. We'll do what we can, but we might not quite manage the half hour this week.
It has been, really obscenely hot here in the UK.
It's been awful, and in addition to which, we're quite lucky in a respect because the lower half of our house is quite cool, isn't it?
We've got the
But
top half just gets
the top half is
unbearable.
roasting, and we're in a semi-detached, and it's the same next door, isn't it?
Yeah, I think these houses are so well built they just hold on to the heat. Stay very, very warm in the meantime. But
Yeah.
I'll apologise for the fact that this is 3 weeks after our last stream and not 2 weeks, but that's mainly so we are away next weekend. So it was kind of do we cut 1 week this or just last weekend or the weekend after to try and get us back on the 2 weekly cycle. So I think it was a particular day we both had a banging headache and we said, let's do this week, do we cut it? We'll do one next week, and then that takes us back into our normal.
Yeah, gets us back into sync. How many nights are we spending away?
Oh, just one, because you can't have more than just one.
We can't have one with more than one night. We're destined never to have a holiday again, aren't we?
Never. No, you can't with pouches, you can't have holidays whatsoever. It's never going to happen.
No. Are they worth it?
Every single second.
Yeah, but I mean, quick update on the numbers. We now have 8, don't we?
We now have 8, because one that was going to be going is now staying.
Yeah. To cut a long story short, it was difficult for the person to take on the little boy, and time passed, and he's now 14 weeks old. So it looks like Tetra's going to stay and be a companion, and maybe one day, hopefully, a little bit more for Venus.
Yeah, we've now got 3 pairs that are unrelated.
Yeah.
That's not to say that them 3 pairs will all have babies.
Well, we've had some luck on that front, haven't we, really?
2 pairs have had babies.
2 pairs have had babies. Alice, who's from Germany, and Gus, who's from Holland, were lucky enough to give us a pair of babies. So we've got a boy and a girl from them. And a few days later...
We pretty much... We were... Because you can't visibly tell when these guys are pregnant.
No.
You have to go by the way they're acting. Especially, if they've got 5, I imagine... We've never had that many, but if you've got a larger litter, I imagine you could see...
No, the most we've seen is 3, and I'm actually really, really glad about that. But
I would prefer small litters.
Yeah, when Lolo has a single baby, as it did with Selly, it doesn't always end well.
No, which is so. Well, we had Alice had hers first. She had her 2, and then a couple of days later, Lois had her 1.
Yeah, we weren't expecting Lolo to have one. It just sort of arrived.
We weren't, and both occasions something different has occurred this time than what has happened before with the litters. Well, with just Lolo's litters, is that they normally kick the male out.
Yeah.
Maybe 3 or 4 days before. That's usually our sign, isn't it? We're like, oh yeah, she's kicked him out.
It is, yeah. I mean, Lolo gets downright aggressive. She bites him and draws blood. And this time, she went a little bit scatty a couple of days before the birth. Remember, she was sort of chucking things around the cage and
have a right hissy fit.
Going up to the top and nudging the bars at the top, and acting in quite a frustrated way. But she thankfully left Bob alone.
Yeah, she didn't kick him out, which was really and so Alice didn't kick Gus out either. So this is the first time that both the males have stayed in the cage with the mum, and it's been quite interesting watching how that's played out.
It was heartrending, really, because Bob took to the baby. I was scared about the baby being crushed and laid on because Bob is not a small rat. But he was so gentle with it, and he was licking it.
They were very, very close to each other, weren't they?
And they were very bonded. They were licking each other and cuddling, and it was all quite heartrending, really. It was really quite sweet, and until Lolo decided, actually, I don't really want to feed this baby anymore. And
well, it's not that she strictly stopped; it's that she suddenly started ignoring it, sleeping away from it, and that.
Yeah, it was just laid there
for a couple of hours, didn't we? Where she wasn't being as attentive as you would expect, and this is kind of what we had with Sally.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's no way I would ever want to do that again. It was incredibly hard work, and there was an ethical consideration about how much interference. I'm glad we did it, and Sally's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But it was a hard decision to make. So luckily
We had another option this
we
time.
did, yeah.
From a biological standpoint, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? You have one baby, you've now got regardless of whether you've got 5 or whether you've got 1, you've still got 6, well, essentially 5 to 6 weeks of just caring for that baby. It's going to affect your own well-being because you can't get out of the nest to get food. You're not going to get as much exercise, so you're still going to suffer the same amount with just one baby as you are
Actually,
other than the nutrition.
I had never thought of that from an ecological standpoint, where would the animal look at the baby and think, well, is this really worth it? Probably not.
I mean, we've seen it. There's some species will, like the father, if they have a small litter, the father will kill the baby because they want the female to come back into season quickly so they can try again and have more. I'm assuming this is possibly why Lolo goes, oh, it's one baby. You know, yeah, I love it. Actually, it's just one. It's not doing it.
Yeah, you can't leave a fancy rat male in with the babies for that very reason. They will kill and eat the babies. These are different, and we know people who have left them in really successfully, and it's wonderful that we've had a chance to make that work. But sadly, it wasn't to be. So I took the 2 babies from Alice, took the 1 baby from Lolo, sat with them in my lap for maybe 5 minutes. You can't leave them too long because they get cold. Muffled them all up a bit, rubbed them around on each other, and popped them back in with Alice, and she was a little star.
She went, oh, I've got 3 now. Well,
Yeah.
fine.
Or she can't count.
Well, yeah.
But yeah, they're all happy, they're all being fed, and size-wise, you can't tell the difference between Alice's babies and Lolo's.
Even though there was a couple of days between them.
Yeah. Yeah, luckily the spacing has been close enough for the nutritional content of the milk not to matter.
No. I think it's one of them times when if it's going to potentially result in us, and I feel like it would have done, we would have woken up and found the baby had just been neglected overnight and died. I think that was the way that was heading.
There's some lovely pictures on the Facebook group. If anybody's on there, have a look. They're really cute.
Because I mean, you remember the first time when Lois had Sally and she couldn't fix. She almost seemed quite distressed by that, quite upset. She didn't seem that bothered this time.
Maybe because Bob's in there with her and she's got Bob's company, and that's kind of what she wanted.
Bob was more into the baby than
Yeah.
Lolo was in the
Yeah.
end. I felt more sorry for Bob taking it and putting it in with Alice.
Yeah, she is a bit of a wild card, but we know now that Alice is going to be a brilliant little mum.
Oh, she's especially with all this hot weather. She's been with them all the time.
She's been so attentive and so lovely, and not so freaked out that she won't come out and have a little wander around the cage and come out and say hello. She's just pretty well adjusted.
I certainly see it with Lois, but maybe we'll see the same with Alice after she's had the litter. That sometimes they become a bit more rounded and well balanced as individuals once they've had that litter. It's almost like it sorts of hormones out, and they tend to be a little bit. I mean, Lois was very, very stressed, very highly strung animal until she had babies,
And she's not now.
and now she's a bit more balanced. So maybe Alice will go the same way.
Yeah, I mean, Alice has always been quite an aloof rat anyway, but she seems to be all right. She's been a bit more friendly. And Gus has been trying to get in the bed with them all, but unfortunately it's been so hot that he's been changing his mind. So we're going to upgrade tonight to a bigger bed.
He goes in there, he
And
checks
see,
that we're all
yeah,
okay,
he does.
and then
He
sleeps
wants
outside.
to, yeah, he wants to be in there, and Alice is totally comfortable with it, but it's just too hot. Poor Gus.
Talking of the heat, this has been it's been hard work, hasn't it? Not just for the pouchies, but for all the animals that we keep, and I know across the country. So the guys in the US, I mean, the guys in the UK know the deal over the last couple of days. Guys in the US probably don't. But I mean, we do get kind of hot weather in the summer, but every now and then, maybe once every couple of years, you get potentially one day that is particularly hot.
It was dangerously hot, and not just the temperature, which went up to 37 here, but the air quality was so bad you couldn't breathe.
Well, I mean, last year there was a particular day last year where the record of the hottest day was broken,
Mm-hmm.
and this was again, it broke the records again.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if that's anything that proves that global warming's a real thing, then why in 2 years will we break our records for heat?
It's horrifying. I'm just relieved that I'm a school teacher, so I break up for 6 weeks in the summer, and I broke up on the Wednesday, and you were working from home on the Thursday, so there was both of us on hand to be able to run around with spray bottles and ice cubes and frozen veg and wet towels, and
It's still boiling hot now. I'm
it is.
still sitting there dripping with sweat on the side of my face.
It is.
Oh.
It's hideous, but luckily, I was fearful for the fancy rats as well. They don't do very well in the heat.
Well, I was running around testing some of the temperatures that we were getting here because I've got this little nifty digital temperature sensor. And so what was it outside? So I was testing outside on the ground.
It was 53, the ground
53
temperature.
degrees Celsius.
Yeah,
I
at
don't know what
one
that is in
point.
Fahrenheit,
Yeah.
but that was, I mean, that's not the air temperature, that's the ground temperature. So the people who are out still out there walking their dogs.
Again, it
ridiculous.
beggars belief that people will do that when social media has actually been very good and really proactive at showing you photos of dogs' feet with third-degree burns.
Oh, would you walk on a surface that's 52 degrees?
No.
No, I mean, you burn your feet on holiday.
Well, there's that classic thing when you get off a sun lounger and put your feet on the sand to go in the sea, and
You're not running.
you do like the Ministry of Silly Runs, trying not to make contact with the ground.
Trying to get back.
So why put a dog through that? It's just stupid, isn't it?
Yeah, it makes no sense to me.
People are
But it allowed us
daft.
to kind of get. So I was using this just to measure because you obviously can't. I don't want to be sticking thermometers in all the animals to find out what their internal temperatures are. But
That really wouldn't be recommended.
no, I don't think they'd enjoy that.
I don't think so.
But using this to test what the external temperatures were of all the animals to try and get an idea, and we were noticing that the ones that are a bit more heavy set were holding on to more temperature.
Yeah. And
So yeah,
Gus and Bob, who were the two big uncut males, were visibly uncomfortable. Their breathing was quite shallow. They were lying directly on their backs with their legs all splayed out and their mouths open. And it was horrible to watch, but apart from misting them a little bit with a spray bottle,
I mean, they would be living underground, really.
they would be. Because it's easy to assume, isn't it, that because they're from Africa, oh yeah, they like the heat, but they're nocturnal and
Yeah, it's cold
they
in
just
Africa of an
don't.
evening.
Yeah. And where we went in Tanzania, the air quality wasn't poor at all. It was dry heat.
Well, we get massively bad humidity here.
In
because we're
Essex
such-
we do, it's
well,
awful.
I think across the UK because we're surrounded by oceans, surrounded by sea, and we're very green. We get a lot of
Oh,
rain.
yawning.
We
Excuse
get a lot
me.
of rain most of the time, and then a bit of heat, and that's all in the air, and it does get. I mean, the dew point, and it's terrible. It's really bad, which is why it's so sweaty and hot and sticky, and it feels hotter than it really is.
Yeah. And we're lucky to be part of a wider rat community who share a lot of hints and tips on how to keep your animals cool. So it's been quite nice that other people have been experiencing that and sharing some ideas.
Yeah, I thought so. I was checking some of the temperatures on these, and it was interesting, wasn't it? So
It was annoying.
was it annoying?
Oh, look at this! Look at that! Look at...
I was showing you. So I was sitting there scanning all the. I felt like I was scanning all.
Yeah.
A lot of the fancy rats, the pouchies, were around 30 to 31 degrees.
They're outside body.
temperature.
Yeah.
Obviously, their inside body temperature would be higher than that in a normal level, but outside you wouldn't want it that high.
Well, it's a weird phenomenon down to poor Arthur, who was dreadfully ill last year, critically ill. He had his temperature taken quite a lot of times, didn't he? Over the course of the month, he wasn't well.
That drops down.
And we learned that a normal temperature for them is 35 or 36 when they're well. And poor Arthur's went down to 32. So rather than an increase in temperature that you'd expect with a human, theirs goes the other way. They get very cold. At one point, I had bubble wrap in his bed, hoping that he would nest with the bubble wrap and try and keep warm.
Get a bit of heat back on.
Yeah.
But interesting how the larger animals, like the larger rats, I mean the boys especially, Bob, as well as some of the slightly larger set fancy rats were approaching 32. They were holding on to more heat because they're bigger. And then what was I was comparing to some of the more, some of our very, very slim, skinny males and females.
Oh,
Fancy rats.
the female fancy rats weren't they were still all lying in a big pile, and
Well, they were maintaining
they
25
were,
degrees, so it
yeah,
really does show
yeah.
that you need to know your animals and know what temperature they're going to sit at. The biggest concern I've had in this house has been the aquarium. We run 2 aquariums. Keeping temperatures in them is difficult. Both aquariums. I mean, I think the one downstairs is still around 30 degrees.
Oh,
Oh,
sorry, it's the heat. You're
it
not boring
is.
me.
It's been hard trying to keep or get them down because that can cause, especially when you keep corals, they really suffer.
Yeah, we're lucky with the tropical tank is one single species, isn't it? And they're quite hardy.
They're slightly more tolerant.
Yeah, yeah. But the corals, you've just started building that back up again, really, and it would be horrible if they were
Yeah.
lost. So hopefully, no more hot weather. Not too hot.
Hopefully so.
Hmm.
What else is on our agenda? Because we didn't today do any note. We normally do some notes, but we didn't do any notes today.
Well, it was touch and go whether it was actually going to be healthy enough to be crammed into this little office having a chat. So,
We're both sweaty because it does get extremely hot in here, and when you're filming, you have to have the window closed.
that's
and,
right.
Yeah. But yeah, there was absolutely no decent. Oh, I've got a question.
Ah, good.
Help me ask it. How might Brexit affect the import of pouches? No, do you know what? That is a really good question. We were looking. I'm not entirely sure yet how it's going to impact because as of now, when we've had them brought over from Europe,
It's been relatively easy
oh, you
to
go
do.
you go through customs. They tend to go, what have you got there? You've got vet papers. Just need to show that they're healthy.
Yeah, they have a health check just before they leave, and the vet signs and dates that. More, just like pretty much like a checkup in the UK, and that you show that at customs, and they're through. They can't fly, obviously. We don't import via air because they won't allow them in the cabin.
Now they put them in the hold.
I
and don't
couldn't
think
I
they're
couldn't
heated.
I couldn't take that risk of putting little babies in a hold. I wouldn't do that. I'd rather drive for thousands of miles to bring them back. But we're making our own now, which is quite useful. Don't have to do that now for a little while at least.
Do you know what? There's no more room.
No,
There's no more room at
no,
the
we are
hotel.
completely banged out. We have got a spare cage in the event of anything, anyone needing it, but we can't fill it up. We've got to keep it as it is.
Well, the thing that suffers if we end up having too many is the out time that they get.
Yeah.
We're already feeling the pinch with how you get them all out, how you exercise them all.
Yeah, there are some that have the desire to come out more than others, and poor old Arthur has to come out every night anyway because he won't poo in his cage.
Oh, even if he doesn't, if he's, oh, Mum, I don't want to come out today. Like, no, you
You
have to
got,
come out because you need a poo.
you got to rake him out, put him on the toilet like a toddler, and then leave him to his own devices. But yeah, Arthur and Sally are the ones that I think need the human contact more because they live on their own.
Yeah,
So
Bob has this, like, he wants out in the mornings. That's his one out time, which is really hard when we go to work in the mornings.
if you're working from home, luckily you can let him out, can't you?
I can some degrees, but I'll be up here and he bangs a bowl against the side of the cage.
Yeah.
To get himself out.
You can't. It's that sort of sound you can't really ignore. So he just goes bang, bang, and it's really rhythmic,
Exactly,
isn't it?
yeah, it really is.
He's a clever lad. Yeah, and I can't have him out on my own because he intimidates me and I get bitten. He's still doing it.
He's not let up.
No. So we've just got to keep trying now and again to see if hopefully he's abandoned that behaviour. And aren't we lucky in this situation that there's two of us?
Well, this is not attacking me. I mean, he did
One person can handle him, yeah.
He attacked me once and has left quite a nasty scar on my hand, but not since then.
No, and it's also good consideration if anybody wants one of these as a pet. That there can be lovely babies, and I used to carry Bob around on the length of my arm with his legs all hanging over the edge and bobble him up and down, and he was lovely. And then once he'd mated, once he realised what it was for,
he realised he was the man.
He was the main man, and it just all went sideways from there, didn't it?
It did. It just all fell apart.
But yeah, but you know, we're thinking of creative ways to get around that. And the main thing is he's happy.
Oh, he's not a miserable rat at all.
No, no, I don't think we've got any that are distressed or sickly or miserable, but they're all really, really different in personality.
Well, you compare Venus. So when Venus comes out, her idea of free ranging is you get her out, you put her on the sofa, she stands still for like 3 or 4 minutes, and then darts over to her cage, climbs up and sits on top of it, and that's her. That's just what she likes doing.
She sits there watching everyone from the highest vantage point in the living room.
It's not that she wants to go back in her cage; it's that she wants to sit on top of it.
No.
It's completely different. And dear Tetra's only just figured out he could go upstairs. It took him longer. I don't think he's the brightest pouchy in the world.
He is not the sharpest knife in the drawer, is he? And we haven't seen any sexual behaviour from him, whereas his brothers.
Oh, his testicles haven't really dropped yet.
No, he's a bit of
compared to Floki.
bit of an enigma, really. This one, because Floki is his brother, who's owned by Linda Macpherson from Scotland, and he's been rampant for months and months. He's totally different.
Yeah.
He's just a bit, although I think Tetra was the bigger one of the two, he's a little bit behind, a bit short on the testosterone, isn't he?
It's quite possibly that.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how he develops.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Tetra.
We
Don't
saw
listen.
That there was some very, very good news from the US that as US Zoo, I think that people have been saying this is the first US zoo to get a pouch rat, but I do believe there's another zoo. So I believe there's two zoos that have a pouch rat.
This one's near Washington, isn't it?
Yeah, the other ones I can't remember. I do vaguely remember there being another zoo. So that makes two.
And they've obtained 3 from Africa with a view to using them for exhibition work and educational demonstrations and things. So yeah, good luck to them.
Yeah, I mean it's grand. I really can't see. I mean, don't get too excited that this is going to be the big change, because there's a lot of hoops I imagine these zoos have jumped through.
I would think
they've been brought over for learning tools.
For that purpose. We don't know what breeding conditions they've been given over in, whether they've had to be neutered and they aren't Gambian pouched rats, they are Ansoji. They're a little bit different, like the ones we saw at Apopo.
Yeah, they're not Gambian.
They're gorgeous, but they're not quite the same as the ones we keep.
You couldn't make this, because these separate species of pouch rats won't. They will conceive, but not.
They can't. It's not viable.
They're not viable.
No.
Well, I mean, so they will copulate. They won't conceive.
So it'd be interesting to see how they go. It'd be really nice to follow their stories and see how they manage to work them, because there are zoos here that are interested. A friend of ours has just sent off either a single one or a pair, I'm not sure, to Bristol Zoo this week.
Linda's reminding you that you got the wrong rat for the wrong owner. Kojo's thingies you bum.
Not Floki. Sorry.
Viking Floki, isn't it?
Floki is actually like Floki and Kojo are really similar, aren't they?
I think they've come out very.
I often get muddled up.
Yeah. Large pouch exhibition.
San Diego. Oh, right, that's California.
Yeah, that's
Oh, that's interesting. Thank you for that, Bob.
I think that will.
Yeah.
I'll do some more reading about that, because I haven't heard they were doing like a large exhibition to that extent. But no, it's interesting.
Oh, definitely. Who else have we got on there? Suri Blanche, hello. And we've got Bob. Who's Fandius? Do we know who Fandius is?
I'm not very good at people's nicknames. I know.
Oh, yeah, because I don't know. The only one I know is Bob, really.
Now I can't say I haven't got Facebook comments open either, so I don't know what's on there.
No, we can't really have both, can we?
No.
It doesn't quite work.
In terms of these live streams, so they've always done okay. They've never done like excessively well, but I would love to open up to other people potentially. If you've got something that you really want to talk about, if you've got something, it might not necessarily be about pouch rats, but it could be anything. I would be happy to try and help facilitate getting other people to do guest streams. talking about something close to their heart and getting it in front of people, I can actually do more help promotionally wise, getting more people watching our live streams if I wasn't doing them as well.
It would be really nice to have a bit of variety as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
It would be.
Because as much as we're great and all,
Nah.
I would get sick of watching me.
I never get sick of watching you.
Even on a Saturday morning when you try to get me out of bed.
Definitely. I'm dying with this heat. I am gonna gracefully bow out. I think.
You can see we're dripping with sweat.
Yeah.
The temperature up here is I've got my temperature thing. I can see what the temperature. It's 30 degrees in this room.
Oh,
So
yeah,
that's why
it's too
dying.
much.
But it's just short of past. Maybe we'll end it there.
All right then.
But as I said, if anyone else would like to do this, to do some live streaming, I can help facilitate an easy way of that happening. I think it would be good to have some different variety.
Yeah, we'll put some feelers out. That will be. I've got a bit of extra time now as well. We've been off work, so.
Even if we rotate it round every couple of fortnights.
Yeah, it's definitely worth the goal.
Yeah.
All right then.
Okay. We'll call it a day there then, folks. I'll finish out on the intro because I've got to play it.
Oh, go on then.
Okay.
UnPouched.
Bye for now, folks.
Bye.